All right, all right, all right. It's Tuesday the 19th, I believe. And I've got a real good cup of coffee going on right here. So, a good start to my day. All right, NASDAQ's looking a little green today. We're kind of opening up pretty much where we closed, maybe 10 points lower than or higher than where we closed. Tis a good thing. I think we're just going to chop around a little bit, or at least that's what I'm looking for. Nothing in particular in the news, crypto issues, Bitcoin issues. You know, it was funny when I was streaming and on a lot of my videos, I had a lot of these Bitcoin kings coming on, and I never badmouthed Bitcoin. I just told it how it was, and that it wasn't substitution for gold, and to watch your downside. It was a little too risky for investment. Good, for trading, or even the trading I wasn't too crazy about because it was too meme-like. It was too irrational. And I just kind of tried to steer people away from pouring their lungs into these things or capturing their profits. And I used to get a lot of derogatory comments and people mocking my words. I was trying to explain what a run-on bank was. And, up when it was 40, 50,000 a coin, explaining to them that if any financial issues happen in the economy, the stuff's going to get beat. It's going to get beat down. And then, talking about the new companies that are coming out to manage Bitcoin, mine Bitcoin, wallets, and things like that. And just relating that to the .com era when you could put .com in front of a pizza place and bring it public, and it used to rip. And that's not even an exaggeration. I mean, I have in mind a particular place. It was a pizza place in Brooklyn with very funny. It had the storm gates down, graffiti on the front, on the prospectus, and this thing ripped, man. It ripped. It was such a con. And people didn't care, man. They saw .com, they got involved. So anyway, all of these startups in new industries fade out, and that's what we're going through in the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency arena. But good companies will be here. It's not as though Bitcoin, I think even Ethereum should last. There will be technologies, products, and managing companies or servicing companies in the industry that are going to last. It's just a matter of finding out the good stuff. And, all the hype's out now. So now you get to see what the good stuff is. So you see a lot of issues now where people are getting beat on this stuff. But, that's what you make these personality types for, so that other well-thought-out individuals can make money. Dog-eat-dog world. But that being said, in the news, but I'd love to see these guys who kept saying, we're mocking your words. I was like, yo, consider me mock it, but you don't hear them come back and acknowledge their shortcomings. So anyway, this is what we're looking at. Russia doing its thing. There's really just, I got to say, there's bullshit in the news. I got to get rid of it. So we're looking at housing starts and building permits. We're expecting them to slow. The forecast is that they actually, well, I guess it increases on starts but diminishes on permits. I don't know, man. Yeah, I guess starts. I know my buddy is hammering out. I participate a little bit in a company in New York. But this guy's just a talented builder. He could put together a really nice house. Even during the recession of 2007, we were making money with this guy. And I actually grew up with the guy. That's how I got lucky enough to get involved with him. But we were making money, on houses when people are just taking a beating, and only because he would put together such a nice house that he would catch those few people who were shopping, and they just wanted to be a part of what he was doing and buy his homes. Really, really puts together a nice house. Good product. Smart guy. So existing home sales. So it's all about the housing. and Fed Brainard's speech. And this will probably be the last Fed we're going to hear. We go into a quiet period because we're looking at the 27th to 28th with the rate hike decision. Now, we have to throw that controversy in there to get the markets bouncing back and forth. They're saying a point, 3/4. I'm feeling 3/4, but I think this is it. I think this is going to be 3/4. And then the next conversation is going to be, did the Fed overdo it? Because I think we're peaked right here. So, first the Fed didn't move fast enough. Now the Fed's overdoing it. I don't think anybody's ever been happy with the Fed. Now, you ask me, the Fed was feeding the economy, and they really weaponized the economy, and they had to, because we were in a Cold War with China. I mean, that was the reality. And if you listen to my channel, you would have heard me talk about that time and time again. Now that China is slowing down, the Fed can be aggressive and bring the interest rates back to normal. And I think that's what's happening, really. They're taking advantage of the fact that China is slowing down, and we could be a little less competitive, get ourselves a little more rational as far as where interest rates go in the interim. I think they understand that these interest rate actions are not what's helping the economy out. I mean, it's not going to bring prices down or slow inflation. I mean, yeah, there's going to be a little less spending. So you see it in apparel and things like that. But, it's still a supply chain issue. Maybe things being expensive will get more people back to work. We'll be able to move product. I think we're going to change the model from the demand supply to a little more inventory kind of supply in corporations. So that's what I'm thinking about. And anyway, we're going into the quiet period. We'll hear about July interest rate hikes, and I think I don't know, man. I think this is it. I think this. So mark my words, all you Bitcoin people. This may be the point that that we start seeing the other side of things. The argument's going to be, did the Fed raise too much? But keep in mind, you got guys like Kramer right now screaming, they should do a whole point. They should do 1.5 points and just get it over with. In the next month or so, they're going to say they went too far. They're going to ruin the economy. And I'm still in for a soft landing. Things got to break. This oil thing's got to break. We need a few good candidates right now for for 2024. They're talking about Harris pairing with somebody. You know what? Democrats are idiots. That's like a fucking losing pair. You're gonna put Harris back in there. I don't think anybody's happy about this. What a bunch of idiots. These Democratic extremists, bunch of idiots, man. One's got to be exclusive of the other. They have to be extreme fucking Democrats or nothing. And you know what? Republicans are guilty of the same thing. It's just a stupid country. We got to reboot. But I love the country and I love the concept. So don't get me wrong. I would fight and die for everybody's freedoms, for the Constitution. It's just the problem is that the American citizen thinks the Constitution is really a myth or a legend, and the politicians do nothing to follow it. So that's a shame. I kind of like some of the concepts of these extremists, but I hate the anti-racial, anti-immigrant, or even white supremacist kind of philosophies. It's so hard to find a medium. I would love to find people who are disciplined and supportive of the Constitution and our rights as individuals, but it seems like anybody with that focus has these white supremacy extremes, and I don't like that. I don't know where I sit. I'm pro-America, pro-Constitution, pro-human rights, but I also believe in socialized medicine and immigration. But it's an economic thing. If we have a healthy population, then we have healthy consumers, healthy workers. I mean, it adds to our economy. So from a capitalist standpoint, the concept makes sense. And I don't buy into that bullshit that you get compromised medical care, because my father-in-law was a cardiologist, and he never pursued money. And very, very a real socialist, and comes from another country, and I mean, has assets in other countries that he gives away to the poor, because that's very important to him. But he's the most amazing doctor I've ever known, and the most dedicated doctor I've ever known, and never pursued the dollar. So I don't believe that socialism will diminish our medical industry or our medical capabilities. Additionally, one doesn't have to be exclusive of the other. We should have social medicine, but we could also have a private sector, and that could be your choice. You could use the government sector, or you could use the private sector, and then our private sector will be thriving, but the bias will be out. And if we had socialized medicine, then the government is accountable for our health and well-being, which will change the manner in which they treat the FDA and are lobbied, because it'll be cost effective for them to promote good health in America. And read the ingredients. I mean, hey, nature and God didn't make 90% of the shit we're eating these days, and that can't be good for you. And a lot of the chemicals, preservatives, coloring is illegal in other countries with socialized medicine, and it's illegal because the countries recognize the damage it does to the citizens, and they realize that it's cost effective for them to promote good health. I mean, there's even advertisements sponsored by governments that promote proper eating and good health and nutrition, because there's no money in it for them. So you can't lobby enough, because the government's just taking a beating when people are sick. And that's what we need here. We need our government to be accountable for our health. So that's where socialized medicine will come in. And everybody's saying, "Oh, it comes out of my pocket. I have to pay for people's medicines." You're doing it anyway, man. Because people are sick, it just drums up the cost of healthcare. It's supply and demand. That's the bottom line. We don't have the beds, we don't have the space, and it's just drumming up the cost of healthcare. And then there's a lot of people on welfare anyway that are sick. Fat, sick, and nearly dead, and we're paying for that shit. So and I don't mind helping out, but a little self accountability, and that's not promoted, and it would be with socialized medicine. They will educate people, and even like food stamps and things like that. If you look into that, they don't support healthy eating, and it's geared in a manner to buy the cheapest shit, and the cheapest shit comes out of a can that's riddled with chemicals, with product inside the can that's riddled with chemical, and it's just making people sicker and sicker. And how does this equate to the market? It does not. This is Dave on a rant, and I get going and I just keep on going. So anyway, so I think I got here by Something's Got to Give, and then Harrison and their cronies. But you know what? Vote independent, or at least look at the cat who doesn't have the political history in each party and vote for them. There were so many brilliant people that come out during the primaries, and but they don't get the support because they don't have the money. Young guys, young people who know how to program their VCR. I think that should be like the bare minimum requirement to be president. Know how to program your VCR. Understand what a smartphone is used for. I mean, we keep hiring these archaic people who still have rotary dial phones in their home. It's ridiculous. We need forward-thinking, and not forward-thinking people out of California. I mean, if we cut that little corner of the country off, that'd be perfect. I was reading a study about the most miserable cities in America, and the funniest thing is that California had like 15 miserable cities. And New Jersey had about 10 miserable cities. And yet, they look at poverty and suffering and the quality of the drinking water and, the overall mental quality of individuals. And, it's just interesting that the coasts are like that. North Carolina, I think, had one miserable city, low-income miserable city. Really great state, North Carolina. Good people. And it's just amazing. Like, it's kind of live and let live kind of place. And you'd think that it would be holy roller because it's a very religious community. Most of the people there are very religious. But you know what? They do what they feel is right, and their opinion is that your life is between you and God, and you'll answer to God for it. If you don't subscribe to the God theory, then you could cohabitate with these people, no problem. They don't care. I'm not a very religious man, not a formal religion, and I was just so comfortable in that environment. I made a lot of friends. It was very cool. Nobody pushing any of their ideals on you. I mean, you can't walk into a party, and be inappropriate, but very easy to be comfortable. Another digression. We're talking about cities. Look at California, man. Poor states, poor cities, bankruptcy. The cost of living is just skyrocketing, and yet these idiots are still screaming about or being excessive about environmental issues and social issues, and they have they live in a fantasy land. Like, I believe in all of that stuff, and I want to be environmentally conscious, and I want to be socially conscious, but you need a game plan, you need a program. You can't just stop selling gas. That's it. Stop selling gas. Don't okay, so there's a ton of people out of work. There are tons of people who don't have vehicles to get around, and you can't even ship goods into California without special contingencies for their environmental program. It's ridiculous. You have to ease these things in. You have to have a good business plan and be successful. And yet there's nothing coming out of California that would make me consider anybody viable to be a candidate for politics or to run the country or run a business for that matter. So there I go, blah, 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 blabbering away. Texas getting a little extreme too, man. I like their independence and their personal accountability theories, but getting a little too extreme. Like the holy roller bullshit. It should be separation of church and state, and that's it. Why is the government deciding what God wants for us? I mean, I don't get that. That's between you and God, or you and the church, and that's how it should go. So anybody want to talk about stocks? Dave on a rant. Hopefully it's a good rant. Let me know. So look, let's take a quick look at the futures, and I like the insight. I mean, we're looking at it every day, and things don't necessarily change that quickly, but let's have a gander, shall we? Okay, so yeah, my screens don't even, I'm just going to jockey it around here. I'm using two different size screens. It's a pain in the butt. So BTC, man, the song remains the same. Oh, I'm in a pickle now. Oh, what the heck? All right, let's try that again, shall we? Let's get this up, and we could just shift this bad boy over. There it is. All right. So look, man, we're in this consolidation. We're putting in some topping tails. It just looks like the market's just not ready to get out of this. We're looking at a daily chart. That's why I said, and look, it even did a run on stop. So I would anticipate this moving down a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised to see it crying down. But I think this, I don't know, man, we something extreme has got to happen to break out of this channel right now. But I mean, I still have the 13,000 target in mind, but we're building a consolidation here. Another hit of that coffee. So every attempt to break this top is an indication that we could move up, but these topping tails will bring us back down to the bottom. Then we're at risk of breaking this low. So that's what a consolidation will do to you. And you don't really want to trade inside this pattern. I mean, if you were to do it, you would put a horizontal line, and I'm not going to do it because this software is a pain in the ass for charting. You would put a horizontal line right across here, and You could trade, when you're at the top, if you see a topping pattern, you could trade to the middle. It's really not that big, though. You're only talking about a 2,000 point spread. If there was like 10,000 points in it, I would do it, and then be able to take advantage of that. So I wouldn't trade this consolidation. If you trade the consolidation poorly, this is the area you get chopped up. You want to trade breakouts because it runs. And we have a decent target at 30,000. We just have to lose the uncertainty. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. You know what? Maybe July inflation numbers. If they come in a little short, these babies are going to rip. You know. So the question is, can you buy at the bottom, right? And that's a good question. Um, which is probably not, or not everything, so, because we can't really determine if this is the bottom until we get the breakout to the upside. So a smart investor takes a small piece so that he's in the game. But, you keep your eye at 13. And there's no point that you go all in. Like even at 13, I'm not going all in. This is a bottom. But, once we're flirting with that bottom consolidating, I could pick where the next bottom could be. And I don't know that 13,000 is my bottom until we break and start moving up. So same here. I mean, these are bottoming patterns, and we're in consolidation, and the momentum's moving up, and we could argue that we're at the bottom, but we're at the bottom until we break and make a new bottom, and that's the reality of it. And a lot of people, that analyst doesn't know. He said this was the bottom and went the other way. Well, it could be a bottom. If a guy's saying this is the bottom, then stay away from the guy. He'll get lucky. If you say something enough, you're bound to be right. But that's not good trading advice, because you just don't know, right? I mean, who knows what Russia's next move is? They could do something dramatic, force the stock down to 13, and force this down to 13,000, and then it turns around and return and rebounds right from there. Anything could happen. Or we could finally send Ukraine exactly what they need, and they could start making advances, and Russia could say, well, let's talk, and this thing could take off right here. So anything. So anyway, we're looking at the pattern. It's in consolidation. We're going to leave it there. We're still watching that top, but these are topping patterns. It looks like it's going to move back into this consolidation. Right now, I'd say it's not ready for a breakout. That's probably the best we can do. We could say, dealing with the facts at hand, we can argue that we're in consolidation. We can argue that a breakout above this could be a run to the high. What we're looking at right here is a run on stops, 2 times, 2 tails. We break this low. You could take the entry and see if you could run this down to 19, if it's worth it. So you enter around 21. If it breaks above this high, 23, that's your stop. So you got 2,000 risk. If you took, you'd want to see 4,000 reward. It's not there. You only got 3,000. I mean, if you're a gambler, you could go and take that trade, but I'd want to see a $4,000 reward potential, at least to this support. So that's it. We just beat that to death. Looking at bonds. What are we looking at? This is the daily. So it looks like bonds are going to drop off a little bit. It's looking bearish to me. It looks like it's putting in a lower high. If it breaks this, that's a lower low, and then we're going to move back down. But again, bonds also in a consolidating pattern. I mean, it looks like we might have peaked out right here, and that's what we're going to have to watch. I mean, if we break this high here, and you can see a little run on stops, it broke it, turned around, came right back down, and then moved down. If we break this high here, we could very well run up. But I mean, everything is kind of saying that enough's enough. Or we might have moved into this arena so quickly that we just need to take a little breather, and then we'll consider where we're going. But, I mean, this move on bonds has been since May. We've been in this range since May. So, I mean, we're going to have a major change in the world for things. I mean, that's what this consolidation is telling me. Or all of the consolidations I've been looking at. And right here, what are we looking at? We're looking at oil on the daily. So here's today, and I mean, too early to call this bar anything. I mean, it's obviously looking like a shooting star at the moment. And it's topping, but we'll see. But it is in a downtrend, and barring a break of this high, we're continuing a downtrend. Lower high, lower low, lower high. If it breaks this and moves back down, then we could look for a lower low. 88, I feel 88, 84, I feel is where this thing settles out. You know, we were down there in March. The momentum is still negative, bearish. So I'm neutral. There's nothing exciting. I'm neutral pending a break here. I mean, I might watch this for a break of this star. See how this bar closes today. And then maybe tomorrow if we get a break or in the next day or two we get a break here, I might trade it to the downside, see if that continues because the momentum is continuing that pattern. So we'll look to that. And hey, you know what? We see oil keep moving down. It's a good indication that we might see a little rollover in inflation. And keep in mind that we peaked out in June and June 8th. And that's the report that we just heard at the beginning of or middle of July. So now, you know, here we are in July and we're lower than we were in June and we just keep grinding down. We're halfway through the month. If we continue that grind down, that August announcement, which will be the July report, the report of inflation in July, is going to show a rollover. And we might get a relief rally based on that rollover. But, you know, then we're going to have to look at other factors to see if that continues. Recession fears. This is copper. I'm looking at copper. You know, copper is used in a lot of products. When people are fear of an economic slowdown in the country, there's a sell in copper, and there it is right there. That's the recession fear sell. So, you know, this will give you a general consensus of what professionals are thinking about the economy. So you have these recession fears out there. People are getting conservative hedging, but the momentum has faded considerably. It looks like it's flattening out at this point, and we're going to have to watch this. We need it to develop a little more to really get a good idea, because we could still be in a down pattern. Here's a low that could be considered a high. This high is lower than this high. That's a downtrend. The next move would be to make a lower low. If it can't make that lower low, then we're going to end up in consolidation. Consolidation doesn't necessarily mean a turnaround. It just means that that trend is going to stop. It's going to consolidate, and then we could move down at a less aggressive trend for a little while if inflation fears continue. And I think we might have those fears through August. That might be the tag phrase for the news companies, you know, because they're going to argue that the Fed went too far, throwing us into recession. If they go too far, that's the result. They throw us into recession. And that could be what we're looking at. I mean, still too soon to tell. And in a nutshell, that's our futures, right? So, well, we're still looking at futures, but those are our commodities. Those are the indications of our commodities. Let's look at Coinbase, because I know a lot of people are involved with that, doing the same thing as Bitcoin, man, just in this consolidation. So, I'm neutral pending the break. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. Very good resistance right here. If we get up on this bad boy, I would take that. I mean, it's a good indicator. If you test that 3 times and you reject it and then break it, that's pretty strong. And I probably look for the $80 mark. Yeah, that'd probably be my long-term target. You have to understand that this is a lot of congestion right here. We're going to have to fight through all this work right here, but we break that and we have some leaps and bounds we could make. And, here's a big old gap right there. I don't know really how this behaves. It's too young, so I don't know what respect it pays to gaps and things like that. It could be irrelevant. But, based on my trading experience, this is something I'm going to look at, watch, and just keep in my notes for future trading on Coinbase. We're going to start looking at Apple and all of this down the road, but right now let's just jump over to the S&P, and so we put in this shooting star the other day. We broke down on the shooting star, and we're just going to have to watch this and see if we break yesterday's low. I mean, there's really no trade in it right now. It's just consolidating, and we may stay in this consolidation pattern until the 27th of interest rates. The only catalyst is going to be earnings, and everybody's going to be looking for slowdowns and companies slowing down or laying off, and they're going to do it. I mean, the economy looks like it's easing. Even if it bottoms out, they can reduce their overhead right here, ride that rounding reversal with a low overhead, and once things start accelerating, they could just add employee, add a manufacturer. But they're having a hard time finding employees anyway, so they may just find a way of getting more efficient and automated. So interesting times. These are the things we're going to watch. But that being said, it just looks like everything might be bottoming, and maybe another test of this low. We could do that. Wouldn't be too bad. Somebody was talking about a V top. Maybe on the 240s. Let's have a look at the 240s. See if we could find if there's a B top. Bink. A V top. Oh, yeah, I guess this is what they're talking about. It topping out at the 9100, making a V. This popped to a 60. What's up with that? It should. There it is. Okay, so I don't see the V top that I heard talked about. Unless they're considering just this run and that a V. I mean, that could be the case because this was a long run down. So they're probably calling this a V. V tops are very unusual. You could expect a double top. It doesn't necessarily have to meet this 91, this 3,910, the 3910. But another top, maybe get to 890 or so. That would look respectable. And then turn around and continue the sell-off. And long-term, I would have to argue that there's nothing long-term that's really telling me that this is over. Higher high, lower low, lower high. And now we could move to a lower low. We would have to break 4,200 to really be convinced that this pattern has ended. A few positive catalysts, and we may test that again or put in a 4150 and then come back down to this area, and perhaps we could build a head and shoulders on the weekly over here, and that might be an indication that it's over and we may move up into the winter. But right now, too soon to tell. I mean, that's what we'll watch for. It could do one of these things. We're trying to anticipate right now what the market's going to do, which is not a trading strategy, but just more fun than anything else. Yeah, it's hard to do the monthly on this. Okay, let's jump over to the S&P. Just look at the S&P and see. I mean, if we did a fib on this, and I'm looking at the monthly, on my ever so crude Charles Schwab charts. They're just cheap, man. They're just, I mean, the cost of doing business with Schwab is really, really low. So if you had good charting software, but you executed large positions, Schwab is a good place to execute. And Interactive Broker, I like that account too. I have an account with them and Schwab. And I mean, you could do just about every vehicle and really cheap operating cost. So that 38, I'm looking, see, this is where my argument comes in. I'm looking for that 33.19. That's about the 55%. And yet, you know what? I mean, monthly, what is that right there? That's a bear flag. So I don't know if it's over, man. I mean, there's nothing here saying it's over. A 55% retracement on this is very logical, very healthy. Although if we consider this an outlier, this line right here, just an overreaction. Let's get rid of this. I don't know. This is like, I might as well be like analyzing with crayons with this charting software. So again, that's my point. Fib, retrace. So let's call this a logical. See, here's this bottom right here. So even right here, let's call that a logical bottom, right? That was an overreaction, an emotional reaction. And then we're in here, and we tagged off that 55. We tagged off that 50. We come into the 55, and that should put us around the 49.96. The 60 will put us around the 35.59. It's still, we could call this a good retracement if we considered this an outlier or an overreaction. And this might be, you could find arguments either way. But I still think we're touching that 33 number somewhere, 33.59, 33.18, if emotions get into it and we overshoot. So that's the word I was looking for. Called this an overshoot due to emotion. Maybe if we break down again, we get that overshoot one more time. Takes us down to the 33.13. So that's why I'm playing it very conservative. But like I said, on the monthly, nothing showing me that we've hit the bottom or even started a consolidation. On the weekly, we're starting a consolidation, nothing confirming that it's a bottom. It's just we're in consolidation. We may test that again. We test that again. And then, the likelihood or the chances of breaking it become greater. So weekly, nothing really confirming a reversal, but showing a consolidation. And then, on the daily, bank, obviously a long-term consolidation, which builds the weekly consolidation. And a longer-term weekly consolidation will demonstrate on a monthly chart as the beginning of a consolidation on monthly. We may end up closing up all these gaps before we continue down. I mean, we could go as high as 41.15 to close up those gaps. We just need some catalysts, and earnings are going to be the catalyst for this week. All right, so I've gone on long enough. Hey, do me a favor. Subscribe, hit the bell, hit the like. I appreciate that. All the comments and everything you guys offer me, I appreciate that. If there's something you want me to look at or have a conversation, drop it in the comments. I'm happy to do it on the following day, give you some insight. If you want me to continue that for a while, let me know what you're doing with it, what your goals are, and I could stay on that equity or that trading strategy for a while and help you along with those trades. So I'm thinking about a few things for the channel, which way I'm going to go. It's just it's distracting, and with this volatility, I know there's a lot of action and there's a lot I could teach people, but it also compromises my income. And as spiritual as I like to tout myself, I do have my personal greed, and I'd rather be sitting here making the money than ranting. So, with all this volatility and these big swings, I mean, we're getting 70 points a day. There's a lot of directional trades I'm taking, and I just want to focus on that. When this is out of the market, then I'll have time and I could talk more and might go back to a streaming page. So, everybody, calm, cool, at peace when you trade, and good luck with your trades.